What's going on, guys? Sticks here with the Token Minorities, bringing you another deck on Pokemon TCGO, and today I am bringing you a very cool deck that's been running around, and that is a deck centered around Alolan Ninetales and Decidueye-GX, and I am not doing the Vileplume version of that because, I just don't like item lock that much, so I'm going with just the straight Ninetales Decidueye version. And before I get into the deck, just a reminder that if you guys like this video or found it helpful, please leave a like, drop a comment, click that subscribe button, helps us out a ton, and lets us do more cool stuff for you guys. And as for the question of the day, honestly, I don't have anyone like specific to this deck picked out, so I'm just going to go with a very generic, what Pokemon do you guys want to see get a GX card? If you had to ask me, I would say that there are two that I really want to get GXs. First of all, just Keldeo. That's kind of my cop-out answer because Keldeo is my favorite Pokemon. I love that thing so much. Like, it's just my favorite Pokemon. Who wouldn't want to see their favorite Pokemon get a GX card? And also, I think if they did something with, like, reminiscent of what it was in Boundaries Crossed with the Russian type of ability, that way you don't have to rely on Zoroark for, like, stand-in and stuff like that, I think that could be really cool. But a non-Keldeo answer would be Mamoswine. Now, Mamoswine, again, is one of my favorite Pokemon, so there's obviously some personal bias that goes into that, but that card really just has not gotten almost any love in the TCG at all. Let's actually look up, see how many Mamoswines there are in the TCG. Let's go ahead and filter. Yeah, there are only like a couple of them, and none of them are particularly good. They are really, it's just kind of the common theme they have is just costing way too much energy for a not very good attack. So, they really have not gotten much love in the TCG. I think a Mamoswine GX could be really cool, and I think the artwork they could come up with that would be just amazing. I wouldn't really care if it would be ice or ground, but, I'll be honest, I would kind of like it to be ground. That way I could play it with Karina, get it out a little bit easier, but at the same time, if they make a water Mamoswine, I would be completely fine with that because it'd be able to take advantage of things like Aqua Patch, Manaphy, stuff like that. So, yeah, Keldeo and Mamoswine are the two Pokemon that I would like to see get GXs. Let me know which ones you would like to see get GXs and why in the comment section down below. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. But anyway, on to the deck. Like I said, it is centered around Alolan Ninetales and Decidueye, and is kind of just a very cool little quote-unquote rogue deck, because I think this could be considered a rogue deck because it's not top tier, but it really can catch some decks off guard and is really good in a lot of situations. So basically what it is, Ninetales has the attack Ice Blade. This attack does 50 to one of your opponent's Pokemon. And Decidueye, you guys know by now, Feather Arrow. Once during your turn, you may put 2 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. Just combination of those two right there, just spreading damage and hitting things. Well, not really hitting things hard, but just spreading around damage a lot, taking cheap knockouts on things that our opponent benches. You'd actually be surprised, with a single Ninetales and 2 Decidueye in play, that is 90 damage per turn. That racks up really, really quickly, and these guys aren't going to be knocked out particularly easily. Decidueye has 240 HP, Ninetales has 210, and Ninetales has the wonderful Ice Path GX attack, which completely heals it while putting all damage counters from it onto my opponent's Pokemon. So really, both of these guys just they're not going anywhere. Like, they're very, very bulky. It'll take a lot to knock these guys out. So really what the idea of the whole deck is, just spread around damage and just take the knockouts where you can. You have to be very, very smart about where you put the damage and when, because even just a single Feather Arrow can change how the game goes. Then one cool tech that I've been seeing in these that Aura actually suggested to me was Espeon-EX, not GX, EX, with the Miraculous Shine attack. Devolve each of your opponent's evolved Pokemon and put the highest stage evolution on it into your opponent's hand. So basically it's just like, okay, all of your evolved Pokemon just back into your hand. And that really works amazingly with this deck because, let's just say we are up against a mirror match. We're up against a mirror match where our opponent does not play their own Espeon, but we do. So, Dartrix and Vulpix are significantly easier to knock out than Decidueye and Ninetales. Because, Ninetales has 190, not 190, I'm an idiot, 150 HP, more than Vulpix. I can't math, guys. And then Decidueye has 100 and 160 more HP than Dartrix. So those guys would be incredibly difficult to knock out if we were just trying to continually Ice Blade and Feather Arrow them in order to knock them out in that way. What Espeon allows us to do is put like, okay, let's just put like 60 damage on Ninetales and then 80 damage on a couple Decidueye, send out Espeon, Miraculous Shine, send all of the highest evolutions back into our opponent's hand. All of a sudden, Vulpix is knocked out, 2 Dartrix are knocked out. We take 3 prizes in 1 turn. And yeah, I mean, especially in a meta that is so reliant on evolutions, Espeon really comes in handy quite a bit, and I really hope that I'm going to be able to use it in this live. But yeah, that's the whole strategy behind it. Really just spread around damage with Ninetales, Decidueye, pick off easy prizes here and there. If you need to, use Espeon to Miraculous Shine, get that evolution out of the way. And then as for the rest of the Pokemon, running 1-2 of Shaymin and Lele, just kind of standard for me at this point. A lot of people are running no Shaymin at all, but I still think I like being able to extend just a little bit more in each turn, particularly in a deck where you have Forested Giant Plants and you kind of want to be able to go off a little bit in your first turn, or just, yeah, really just go off a little bit in any turn where you just need like 1 Dartrix or 1 Decidueye in order to have a really fantastic first turn. I like Shaymin's ability to extend a little bit more. Absolute max number of Dartrix, not Dartrix, Rowlet through Decidueye, because I mean this deck is kind of centered around being able to have Decidueye out and Feather Arrow repeatedly, because I mean you can attack with any of these guys. Decidueye is the only one that allows you to use abilities to spread around damage, so you want to have the max number of those guys as possible. 1 copy of Espeon-EX for Miraculous Shine, 2 Lele, like I said, for the combination with Shaymin, and also Lele can attack if you need it. 2-2 of Vulpix and Ninetales, and honestly, the more I play, the more I'm loving Alolan Vulpix in this format, because the format is slowing down, like I've said before, and Alolan Vulpix is a thing that you can just, is a basic that you throw in the deck. You literally don't need any energy to use Beacon, which allows you to search your deck for 2 Pokemon and put them in your hand. It's basically an attack for free that you get 2 Ultra Balls. Like, that's the equivalent of what it is, and you don't have to discard with anything. And then it's just single prize, so it's not like your opponent's going to be getting 2 prizes off of that, so you can play the odd prize game in some cases. So, I mean, I love Vulpix. It is really good in this deck as well. So, yeah, 2-2 of Vulpix and Ninetales, just because, I mean, Decidueye is really what makes this deck run. Ninetales is just kind of, I mean, it's obviously important, but it's not as incredibly important as Decidueye is to the strategy of this deck. As for the items, 2 Field Blower, because, I mean, Garbotoxin Garbodor really does shut down what this deck does. I mean, yeah, you can still, like, rack up a little bit of damage, but, I mean, 2 Ice Blades knocks it out anyway. We want to get rid of Choice Bands, because that's one way that our opponents can keep us from hitting. Well, that's one way our opponents can actually knock out potentially our GXs. We want to get rid of like Parallel Stadium or Parallel City. The Parallel City Stadium card. Wow, I'm struggling today, guys. That can limit our damage or limit our bench spaces. Basically, just Field Blower is very good in this deck and very necessary. 1 Rescue Stretcher, so we actually have quite a bit of recursion in this deck. 1 Rescue Stretcher just lets us grab whatever of 1 Pokemon that we want for maybe like a Vulpix or a Ninetales. 2 Revitalizer, because you're gonna have to discard a little bit with Sycamore and Ultra Ball. This way you can just be like, okay, I'm gonna discard Dartrix and Decidueye with my Ultra Ball, grab a Rowlet, then Revitalizer both those back into my hand. All of a sudden I have a Decidueye. So basically, Revitalizer opens up quite a few nice plays with the Decidueye line. 1 Special Charge, because DCE is what this deck relies on. Everything relies on DCE except for Espeon, but I mean Espeon can still use it. But Decidueye and Ninetales and Lele, to a lesser extent, all need that DCE in order to function properly. So Special Charge is there so that we continually do have it. 4 Ultra Ball guaranteed get us what we want when we want. 4 VS Seeker let us reuse all of our supporters, and then as for these supporters, you have my typical 3-3-2 line of Sycamore, N, and Lysandre. Been trying the 4-4-2. I like the 3-3-2 in this deck just because this deck is already kind of cramped for space to begin with. So I went with this, and it's been doing fine for me. And then one Hex Maniac just to kind of shut off things from our opponent. We will use all of our abilities during the turn, so shutting off abilities going into our opponent's turn or going into our attack doesn't hurt us at all. 4 Force Giant Plants, absolute max number. For our Decidueye, so that we can try to get those guys up and going as quickly as possible. As for the tools, we have 2 Choice Band to help Ninetales hit for an extra 30 damage, like if you're tagging the active, or to allow for Decidueye to hit for 120, just that type of stuff. Just increase the damage output. That way we don't have to waste a couple Feather Arrows on a Pokemon in a case where you can just use a Choice Band. 3 Float Stone just to give free retreat to our stuff, which, I mean, Decidueye is 2 retreat. You don't want to manually retreat it. Float Stone allows us to just keep it on the bench and Feather Arrow. And then finally, 4/4 of DCE and Grass Energy. Because, I mean, that's kind of, I mean, DCE is what this deck runs on. Grass Energy allows us to use Decidueye to attack and then also Hollow Hunt if we need it. But, yeah, that is the deck. Let's just go ahead and see it in action. Alrighty, we have found one against Hellstriker Z with a, I did not see what the deck was. I was too busy looking at the name to see if I saw that correctly because of all the things that Pokemon censors out. They, for whatever reason, did not censor out that. So, unfortunately, I will mulligan. That hand was obviously unplayable, and honestly, I'm glad that I got a new hand, because this hand is a lot better. What I can do is just go ahead and put the Vulpix active, put the Rufflet on the, or the Rowlet, not the Rufflet, wow. Put the Rowlet on the bench. My opponent does get a mulligan card. Let's see what they go for, and they start with the Shaymin. So that's actually pretty nice for me. What I'm going to do is go ahead and Ultra Ball, get rid of the DCE and the Ninetales. You'll see why why I did that. Let's grab a Lele. Okay, there's some good stuff in there. Nothing too particularly necessary prized. And then I'm going to go ahead and Special Charge back in that. Rescue Stretcher the Ninetales back into the deck. And that's why I decided to get rid of the DCE and the Ninetales. Because this way, I can go ahead and Lele for a Sycamore and not really have any detriment apart from the fact that I already had to use up my Rescue Stretcher and Special Charge. It was kind of a, well, I might as well. Another thing I could have done was play the DCE onto the Vulpix, but I mean, I already draw into that anyway, so that's pretty nice there. And I'm just going to call it a turn. So a pretty solid start for me overall. I mean, would have liked to get Force Giant Plants in there, maybe get a Decidueye, or at least a Dartrix, and there's a Rayquaza and a Rayquaza Spirit Link. This is not good. Mega Rayquaza very well might just demolish me. Wait, does he not have anything? Wow, my opponent must not have anything at all. So I get another DCE. Let's go ahead and evolve up my Alolan Ninetales. Play the DCE onto the Tapu Lele, why the heck not? Sycamore for a fresh hand of 6 cards and see what we can get off that. Get some good stuff right there. So let's Force Giant Plants. Get a Dartrix. Ultra Ball. Get rid of the Vulpix and the, what do I want to get rid of? And the N. Just because, I mean, I really don't want to play N, especially because my opponent hasn't played anything. Let's grab a Shaymin, see if we can draw into a Decidueye or a Dartrix or something like that. And we do draw into a Decidueye, so that's pretty nice, as I will be able to set up the 2-hit KO on the Shaymin with a combination of Feather Arrow plus Energy Drive. So let's go ahead and do that, and then hit the Shaymin for a massive 40 damage right here with Energy Drive. Fingers crossed that my opponent wasn't just like slow playing me, or not slow playing, he wasn't just like baiting me into doing this, and then he has everything he could need in his hand. Lysandre's again. What's he? Okay, so he just brings out my Decidueye. That's fine with me, because what I can do is I'll actually be able to knock out the Shaymin this turn while starting to damage. Let's see, if there's anything I want to Hollow Hunt. You know what? That might not be too bad of an option right here, because I can just go ahead and Feather Arrow the Shaymin. Yeah, if I Feather Arrow the Shaymin, I'll be able to Hollow Hunt for stuff that will allow me to get another Decidueye, which will then allow me to get a which will allow me to get another Decidueye, like I said, which will allow me to knock the Shaymin out with 2 Feather Arrows, which forces my opponent to bring up the Mega Rayquaza. So yeah, I wasted the Hollow Hunt a little bit early in this game, but my opponent has nothing, so I can play this kind of slowly. We do see the Skyfield come into play. Not a big deal. I have a Forest of Giant Plants in my hand anyway, and there's a Puzzle of Time. So... Wait, he double puzzles to get double Lysandre? That play I don't understand. Because if you're drawing as dead as my opponent is, I feel like you would immediately want to get... I feel like you would immediately want to go ahead and try to get another... you would want to rearrange the top 3 cards of your deck to try to see if you can get a draw supporter off of that. So what I'm going to do right here, Ultra Ball, get rid of the Lysandre and the Field Blower, grab a Dartrix, and I mean I can just go ahead and play this down. Let's go ahead and evolve the Rowlet on the bench. Force Giant Plants, obviously, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to evolve Decidueye. DCE up the Decidueye on the bench. Go ahead and grab that, and then just kind of hope that I draw into a Float Stone. Getting rid of a DCE, but I don't think it'll be too big of a deal. And okay. So I'm going to be able to get a 3rd Decidueye, which I think... Honestly, I think that's just the play regardless of retreat cost. So let's go ahead and Feather Arrow the Shaymin twice. See if I can draw into something that will allow me to retreat this Decidueye out of there. I mean, at the very least, like another DCE. Although, then again, I've used all 3 of them. So there's no hoping for the DCE because the other one's in my discard pile. And I do get the Float Stone, so let's go ahead and damage this Mega Rayquaza, slap the Float Stone onto the Decidueye. And yeah, let's go into this Decidueye because Razor Leaf does 10 more damage than Energy Drive, and you might be thinking, well, that doesn't do anything at all. Actually, it sets the Rayquaza up for a single Feather Arrow into a Razor Leaf. So my opponent does just bring up the other Decidueye. I mean, he has nothing, and that's why I really think my opponent should have used the Puzzle of Time to rearrange the top cards of his deck. I mean, he had double puzzle, so he could have done it once. If he didn't see anything he liked, he could have like waited a turn and then done it again, and then maybe tried to top deck a Sycamore or something like that. Because I mean, I think that was a big misplay by my opponent. So what I'm going to do right here, just Ultra Ball, grab a Rowlet, thin out the deck, increase the chances that I draw into a Sycamore or something like that, a draw supporter besides an N. This Rayquaza is going to go down next turn pretty much regardless. So what I can do is attach the energy to the Decidueye, retreat into Ninetales. Yeah, okay, so my opponent's Rayquaza only has 70 damage left on, or 50 damage left on it. That is perfect for Ninetales. So what I'm going to do, attach energy to Decidueye, just retreat into the Ninetales. That way I can target down that Mega Rayquaza. Feather Arrow once the Dragonite, Feather Arrow the Dragonite. I mean, all 3 times. I'm not just going to be like once, twice, and 3 times, even though never mind. But yeah, let's just Feather Arrow the Dragonite 3 times. Ice Blade, knock out the Mega Rayquaza, because Dragonite is not a threat in the least. So we're going to be taking 2 prizes off of that. And, I mean, this isn't the greatest game because my opponent is getting absolutely zero. Getting absolutely nothing going. But it is a decent showcase of the fact that I'm able to snipe down everything that my opponent... Like, my opponent tries to retreat to something on the bench, that thing's going to get sniped. And what I can do right here is my opponent just retreats into Manaphy. All I have to do is just retreat into Decidueye. I'm going to put the Float Stone on it just in case for whatever reason I was wrong. But yeah, let's just go ahead and Razor Leaf the Manaphy, knock it out, and win the game right there. So unfortunately, my opponent got absolutely nothing going, but it was still a pretty decent showcase of the deck. Decidueye and Ninetales just spreading around damage, hitting things in the active for bigger damage when you can, and then if your opponent decides to retreat them, well, you still basically have 110 damage just to throw at a bench Pokemon if you need to. So, pretty decent. Well, not decent in terms of how competitive it was, but I got to show off what the deck does in this first match, and let's hope that we get a more competitive second match that I'm going to go ahead and find right now. Alrighty, we found another one against the Walrus 107. So, honestly, no idea what kind of type of deck my opponent is running. We do win the coin flip, meaning we will get to go first, which is fantastic. And we start off with a mulligan, so that is less fantastic. Actually, this hand would have been pretty nice, because I would have been able to play a Force Giant Plants, get an energy onto something, and then N or Sycamore away my hand. And yeah, so let's just go ahead and do that. And there we go. Okay, this hand's nice. It'd be a heck of a lot nicer if I could get a Force Giant Plants. Like, if I top decked a Forest, that would just be phenomenal. So we'll have to see if I'm able to do that. Otherwise, I don't know. Because I have the... Oh, crap. So, I can either N or I can Sycamore. Because I have Rescue Stretcher and Revitalizer, I'm just going to go ahead and Sycamore. Well, there's the Revitalizer, but unfortunately not a single... Unfortunately, not a Forest. So, my opponent's running Lele and Unknown. Actually, wait. I probably shouldn't have played the energy onto Vulpix, because now he can knock me out if he gets a DCE onto the Lele. So, a little bit of a misplay on my part. Should have just thrown that grass energy onto the Rowlet on the bench. That way I can, like, Hollow Hunt later. And there's a Zorua, so this is a Zoroark type of deck, I guess? Huh. Either way, my hand is gross, but I don't want a Sycamore because then I'd be getting rid of a Revitalizer, which is kind of my way of just... Oh, wait, if he ends, I'm okay with this. Please end. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so I am completely okay with my opponent ending me right there, because my hand was nothing special. In fact, it was kind of blah. Oh my gosh, this hand's even worse. Oh, that's gross. I mean, on the bright side, I will be able to get a Ultra Ball for a Ninetales, and then Revitalizer, grab a Dartrix and a Decidueye, so I can at least get a Dartrix into play. But still have not encountered one of my 4 Force Giant Plants, which is kind of weird. We see a Rockruff come down too. So I'm really, honestly, not fully sure what my opponent is running at this point. He puts a DCE onto the Zorua. That's a misplay, in my opinion. That's a big misplay, because if he put the DCE onto the Lele, he would have been able to knock out my Vulpix. So we dodged a bullet right there. And he does... So it's Combi, Zorua... What? I mean, that could be a really cool deck. That really could be. Because, I mean, like... Right off the top of my head, the reason I was like... the reason I said what was because I didn't necessarily see any inherent synergy between Vespiquen, Lycanroc, and Zorua. But the more I think about it, I mean, Vespiquen and Zoroark both go for DCEs. I mean, that's what they attack with. Lycanroc attacks with a regular fighting and a DCE. So what I'm going to do, Ultra Ball right here, grab a Ninetales. Because I mean, I'm going to end this turn. Just so I don't have to, well, at least I think I'm going to end. It's Field Blower, immediately just go ahead and get rid of that, get rid of the Float Stone off of that Lele. Let's Revitalizer, grab a Dartrix and a Decidueye. Really would have liked to play both of those, and why is all my energy turning into fire at this point? And because my... Do I want to end? Yeah, I mean... I wanted to Sycamore, but that'd just be getting rid of another Decidueye, and still no Forest Giant Plants. Wow. That is highly, highly unfortunate right there. What I'm going to do is Ultra Ball, get rid of Dartrix and Ninetales, grab a Shaymin. See if I can just draw into something. Do I want to do that? Zorua unfortunately only has 60, so if I can somehow get a Decidueye and a Forest, let's go ahead and grab Decidueye. That way, just in case I have the Forest. Yeah, unfortunately. Let's go ahead and Shaymin, see if I can get a Forest, and I still don't. Wow. That sucks a lot. So let's Ultra Ball, get rid of the Ultra Ball and the Revitalizer, grab another Rowlet so I can at least have something ready, something starting to get powered up next turn. And then let's go ahead and Ice Blade, hit the... Do I want to hit the Combi, just take a prize? Yeah, that's the play. Just take prize. see if I can get my forest off of the prizes. Because, I mean, I'm thinking they have to be in... Oh, my gosh. Why? I don't want my DCEs. Man, this is going downhill fast. We do see the strong energy onto the Lycanroc. So, I mean, my opponent's deck is very cool. Like, the more I'm looking into it and the more I'm looking at it, like, that's just a very cool deck. He is... Oh, boy. He is going to Bloodthirsty Eyes up something. Not fully sure what. The Shaymin. Is he going to be able to knock me out? If he has a Zoroark and a... If he has Zoroark and a Choice Band, he can knock me out. But otherwise, I'm not sure. Oh, he has a Sycamore. So he might get it, and he has to get rid of a Vespiquen and... Wait. Why did he not play the Vespiquen down? I mean, yeah, you can Revitalize her, but... Why did you not evolve your Combee into a Vespiquen? Did he not play that last turn? Because, I mean, I was pretty sure that he played it last turn, considering I watched as he... Considering I thought of... well, actually, no. I knocked out the Combee, that's right. I knocked out the Combee to take a prize, so never mind. I'm an idiot. It's okay. Man. So I'm getting actually pretty frustrated by the fact that I can't draw into a single... that I do not want to see that now. Man, this is... this is so frustrating. Because I'm drawing into stuff that I would want later, but I can't use it, and I still don't get a Forest of Giant Plants. What is this game? Oh, man. Oh. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and Feather Arrow. So I mean, I can at least take a knockout on the Zorua, which I think I'm going to go ahead and do, because that thing is kind of a threat. And then, do I want to just Sky Return? No, because that wouldn't get me a knockout. Let's see, he's weak to grass, so I can just go ahead and attack with Decidueye later. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and save the Shaymin. Have it back in my hand, save the DC, that way I can start powering up Decidueye to be able to take on Lycanroc later. And yeah, so that's going to be the play. For now, I can always just Ice Path GX onto a... If my opponent is able to attack with his Lycanroc, I can always just Lysandre up Shaymin and Ice Path GX onto that, heal up my Ninetales, while also taking a knockout. Vespiquen comes down. And, So, I'm interested to see what play my opponent makes. Because I'm 100% powering up my Decidueye in the background. Like, that's just how it's going to be, because Lycanroc, I can knock that thing out. We do see the energy in a parallel city. He ditched his own Combee? I mean, I get... Oh, that's a good play. I mean, I guess if you want to... Getting rid of the Shaymin, I guess, was worth ditching a Combee, and then he just hits my Ninetales for 80 damage, which, I mean, hey, that's something. And it actually keeps me from being able to Lysandre in the Vespiquen and Ice Path GX for the knockout. Ooh, this is annoying. So what I can do... I can take a knockout on the Zorua. Actually, I can Feather Arrow onto the Vespiquen, Lysandre that thing up, and then Ice Path, but I think... I mean, I'm 130 damage away from being knocked out. So let's go ahead and Feather Arrow the Vespiquen. Or do I want to just try to knock out the Zorua next turn? Maybe if I could... Well, the thing is, with Feather Arrow, I can either set up the Lycanroc to be knocked out in one hit by Razor Leaf, I can set up the Zorua to be knocked out next turn by Feather Arrow, or I can set up the Vespiquen to be knocked out by Ice Path if I Lysandre that thing in. I think I'm just going to go for the knockout on the Zorua next turn, and then this way I can just... Yeah, hit the Vespiquen for 30 damage, unfortunately, because Parallel City did decrease that damage. And... alright. So he does just retreat into the Vespiquen. Did I make a mistake? Because he does Special Charge 2 DCEs into his deck. He has a third one onto the Lycanroc. Can he knock me out? He might be able to knock... Up, there it is. Couldn't quite knock me out then, but with those last couple Pokemon, he is able to, and the Choice Band is just the cherry on top, so that's really bad. I should have Ice Pathed And, I mean, the fact... I'm so frustrated that I have not been able to draw into a single... I've not been able to draw into a single Forested Giant Plants yet. There's a Choice Band. Doesn't really help. Let's play it onto the Rowlet. Play the Shaymin down, see if I can get, like, another Vulpix or something. Maybe a Dartrix. And I get a DCE. I don't want that. So, I mean, still no Forested Giant Plants. This is ridiculous. There's... Wow, I've gone through 2/3 of my deck and still no Forested Giant Plants. Man. That's frustrating. So let's go ahead and just Float Stone up the Shaymin. Feather Arrow up the Zorua, take a knockout on that, and then I'll be able to knock out the Vespiquen this turn with my... there is one. Thank you, Lord. That is a long time overdue. So we know at least one Forested Giant Plants was prized. I mean... The fact that I haven't drawn any is kind of telling me that I still have more prize. So there we go. Let's go ahead and knock out the Vespiquen, get another prize. There's a DCE. Well, I can play that onto the Rowlet, I guess, that has the Choice Band on it, because, I mean, it can do a little bit extra damage. My opponent's Float Stoning up the Lele, Choice Banding up the Lycanroc, and he's... Okay, this is starting to get very scary, because, okay, he's going to Sycamore down to 5 cards. So, he's easily just going to retreat into his Zoroark. Or not his Zoroark, his Lycanroc. Man, Zoroark and Lycanroc Midnight kind of look like the same thing. But he's going to be able to hit me for 190 if he goes for the Dangerous Rogue GX. Luckily I didn't play another Pokemon down, because otherwise Dangerous Rogue would have been able to knock out my Decidueye, which would have made me very, very sad, and actually probably would have made me lose. There's a Forest, jeez. Okay, so there's one in my deck, one prized. I'm wondering what else is there. So let's go ahead and Field Blower. Get rid of the Float Stone and the Forest. Why I'm doing that is actually because I have another Forest in my hand, and I'm probably going to end this turn. Well, I am going to end this turn, so I don't want to have to draw into that other one. And, man, I think all my, like, Decidueye pieces are, like, prized. So let's go ahead and Feather Arrow the Lycanroc. I didn't get rid of the Choice Band because, I mean, the Lycanroc was going to go down this turn anyway from weakness. So let's go ahead and do that. Go ahead and Razor Leaf, knock out the Lycanroc, and take a couple prizes, just be one prize away from winning this game. And 3 Forested Giant Plants were prized. 3 of them were prized. Oh my gosh, that is insanely frustrating. 3 of my 4 forests were prized. Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, there's absolutely nothing I could do about that. My opponent does knock out my Decidueye. And if I had not 3 prized, I would have been able to attack the... I would have been able to probably have another Decidueye up. But nope. So what I am going to do right here is just Lele, see what else is in my deck. Okay. Alright, so there's a line, there's 2 lines of Decidueye. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to Sycamore, just see if I can get a... There we go. Alright, so now we're doing something. Kind of wish I had gotten something else, though. Oh well. What I can do is just go ahead to Decidueye, and I guess just start Feather Arrowing. I mean, that's all I can do at this point. I have to draw into my last DCE to be able to hit the Lele. I didn't check, but it looked like... Oh, I wasn't paying full attention, but it looked like there weren't any grass energy left, so I just kind of had to bank on the fact that my opponent isn't going to be able to... Oh, Combee goes down. Never mind. I was about to say, Combee I can just easily snipe with 2 Feather Arrows and win the game. But, yeah, that's not how that works. Let's see. My opponent will be able to hit me for some decent damage. But as long as I draw into a DCE, I think I win the game. What's he Lysandering up? Lysander's up my Lele. I mean, that's fine with me. I mean, I know there's a DCE left in my deck. Oh, Choice Band, that's something. So I think I'm actually going to be able to win the game right here. So let's Choice Band up my Lele. And then... Yeah, there's only two DCs in the discard pile. That means the last one's got to be there. I mean, unless... It's not my last prize because I know I saw it in there. And let's just draw it in. I guess I did have a Grass Energy. So it really doesn't matter overall. Let's just go ahead and damage the Lele a little bit more. Just in case my math, for whatever reason, is off. Even though I'm pretty positive it's not. Energy Drive. Oh, DCE up the Lele, and then Energy Drive my opponent's Lele to win the game there's a... Yep, I knew that I still had energy left in the deck to be able to win the game. It was the last Rowlet, but... Man, 3 of my 4 Forested Giant Plant were prized. Jeez, I mean, that's gotta be like... It's gotta be like less than 1%. Yeah, I'm gonna be... Yeah, that's frustrating. I mean, that's gotta be less than 1% chance of happening. But still, even though all 3 of my Forested Giant Plant were prized, and my 4th one I didn't even get until I went through, like, over 2/3 of my deck, still able to pull the win out. Decidueye is just that strong. Unfortunately, I didn't get to show, like, I didn't get to show off what Espeon-EX can do, because, I mean, the last match would have been perfect, because Espeon, I would have just piled a bunch of damage on Vespiquen, Zorua, Lycanroc. I mean, I would have just put a bunch of damage there, and then Espeon, and then devolved all those, and then just taken like 4 or 5 prizes in one turn, with Espeon being able to do that. But yeah, when you have those Forest, I mean, that's how reliant Decidueye is on Forest. If you don't have it, it becomes a lot weaker and a lot more clunky. So still able to pull it out. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. And this is Styx signing out. Why not? See you guys.